If you want your testing career to get better, then you must get better. If you want to make more money as a QA professional, then you must become more valuable. And by the way, that doesn't mean you think you are more valuable. It means you actually become more valuable to developers and companies in the marketplace, not more valuable in your own eyes and by your own estimation. If you want to produce bigger results in your testing career, then you must have a bigger impact. So it's so interesting how many testers seek to be impressive, but while they are seeking to be impressive, they fail to be impactful. Whereas if you focus on being impactful as a tester, finding critical bugs, improving product quality, and enhancing user experience, you get both. Okay? But if you focus on being impressive, you get neither. Remember this. And there is no there. So what does this mean? It means there is no place in your QA career that when you arrive, you finally have arrived. There is no destination other than a journey, because the journey itself is the destination. So personal growth means you are in state of perpetual improvement, perpetual transformation as a software tester. Transformation, like growth, implies change. If you grow, you turn into a bigger, better, stronger, smarter, more impactful, more intelligent version of yourself. To grow implies change. And in fields of software testing, change is constant. So, now I'm going to show you 6 steps to transform your testing career. If you use them correctly, they will guide you through meaningful professional transformation. So please don't skip any of these steps, and if you think at the first they have no real meaning, let's start with the first one, which is awareness. Okay? So one of the first things that I must do is I must become aware of something that I was previously unaware of. It's so amazing. Like, I remember when I first got introduced to the world of software testing, the QA lead who mentored me, I didn't even know I was being mentored, really. I literally thought I was just doing my job, right? So this QA lead was making, I think, $80,000 a year in industry where many testers were making way less. And that was more than double what most positions were paying. To give you a perspective, I was 27 years old, working as a junior tester, making nowhere near that much. So I had never met anybody in testing who made over $80,000 a year. I literally didn't know that was a sentence, like people actually said that software tester could make that kind of money then. But I become aware of the fact that $80,000 a year was possible in testing. But I also become aware that not only it was possible, it was doable because I knew someone personally who was doing it. Like, wait, what? $80,000 a year back then? You can make that as a tester, a software tester? And I become aware. Now, once you become aware, maybe for you it's not $80,000 a year. That was just an example. These days, this paycheck can go more than $130,000 a year. But for you, maybe there's something else. Maybe it's becoming aware of testing techniques you never knew existed. Maybe it's becoming aware that certain testing specialists make 30% more than generalists. Maybe it's becoming aware that in Agile environment, testers who can work efficiently with developers are valued much higher. Maybe it's something related for artificial intelligence that you become aware of. So it begins with awareness. That's the first step. Maybe you're just becoming aware right now that some testers are making more than $140,000 a year in this industry, while others plateau much lower. Maybe you're not knowing what you can expect in the testing career. So this is the point where you become aware of this. Or maybe you are just already working as a software tester, but you are not aware of how testing is done in modern environments. So this course will again help you become aware. That's the first step. Okay. Next step is intention. So the next step after awareness is intention. Intention is where you commit to making a change based on what you have become aware of. It's where you say, now that I know this is possible in software testing, I'm going to make it my reality. So let me be crystal clear about what intention means in software testing. Intention is deliberate choice to improve quality by addressing the gaps you've identified through awareness. It's what bridges awareness and action, because awareness alone is not enough. Recognizing a problem like manual testing taking too much time or missing security vulnerabilities is just the beginning. Intention is what compels you to act, to adopt new tools, refine process, or upskill yourself. Without intention, awareness remains theoretical. You might know that automated testing could save your team hundreds of hours, but without intention, you will keep doing things the old way. Intention means setting clear goals, prioritizing actions, and committing resources to ensure that the identified issues are resolved. It's the difference between passive observation and active transformation. So let me tell you about this tester I know. She was working at this company for years, doing the same manual testing over and over again. Every release cycle, same tests, same bugs, same frustration. And then she went to this testing conference and she saw someone demonstrate how they had automated their entire regression suite. This presenter talked about how they are going from spending 2 weeks on regression testing to just running a script overnight. And my friend, she leaned over the person next to her and said, "Is that even possible in our system?" And that person, who happened to be an automated architect, said, "Yes, of course it is. So your team shouldn't be doing manual regression anymore." So, what does that sentence mean? What does the sentence mean? So she kept listening, and later the architect said to her, "I'm going to share some resources with you. You are smart, you can learn this." And my friend was like, "Okay, that sounds good. I don't know what it all means, but at least I become aware of the fact that it exists and that's possible." So she set an intention. She decided, "I'm going to learn automation. I'm going to transform our testing process." She didn't just think about it or talk about it, she committed to it. 6 months later, she had automated 70% of their regression tests. 6 months! Her manager called her in and said, "What you've done has saved us hundreds of hours of testing time." And then he told her about a promotion they were creating: automation specialist with a 30% salary increase. So I'll be honest with you, when she first started learning automation, she wasn't fully comfortable. You know, when you start first flying and you are not comfortable, you don't put all your weight down. She wasn't putting all her weight down on this automation thing. She believed it was possible, but it didn't make sense to her because she had never experienced it. But she kept at it. She spent an hour every day learning and practicing, and after a while, It wasn't just theory anymore, it was her new reality. That's what intention does. Once awareness has illuminated the gaps in your testing approach, whether it's too much manual testing, security vulnerabilities, usability issues, or untested edge cases, intention is the driving force that turns recognition of these gaps into actionable strategies and measurable improvements. Without intention, awareness remains just a thought, just an observation. But with real intention, the kind where you commit fully, you can transform your testing just like my friend did. Okay? So, next step. So I become aware, I set my intention, and then 3 is you have to make a decision. Now, a decision is not the same as choice. So decide comes from the Latin root de, which means off or from, and side, which means to cut. So when you decide something, you cut off from any other possibility. So a decision is not a choice. A decision is a serious promise you make to yourself that you absolutely will not break no matter what. It's a commitment so strong that backing out isn't even an option. See, most people that you will meet in your whole career, no matter if it's in testing or product management, programming, or any other career, have very, very weak and atrophied decision-making muscles. They make a lot of choices, but almost no decisions. I'm going to look into test automation. That's not a decision. I might try to learn API testing. That's not a decision. Maybe I'll pick up some security testing skills. Still not a decision. When you decide, it's not like I'm going to try become a better tester. A try is a lie. You try, but I'm lying. I'm going to try. I mean, what are you doing? I'm not trying to do anything. I'm either doing it or I'm not doing. So you make a decision. You don't make a choice. You make a decision. I'm becoming a software tester who can automate. I'm learning security testing this year. I'm going to master performance testing. So here's one small challenge for you right now. And let's see if you can stick to it. Let's see if you are able to make this one decision. I'm going, say with me, I'm going to finish this course from start to finish in the next 7 days. Can you say it out loud this and make that decision right now? Once you make that decision, we are moving and growing. It requires discipline, which is number 4. Number 4 is discipline. So what's discipline? Well, before I tell you about discipline, let me share an important principle with you, okay? And this is disruption always follow intention. So when you set a new intention to become a software tester, the first thing that's going to show up is disruption. So what does this mean? This means when I make a decision to do something good, like learn test automation, the first thing that shows up is something hard, something difficult, something bad, when I make that a real decision. And why? Because it's been sent to, it depends on who we receive it from. It's been sent to strengthen us or it's been sent to weaken us. So what does this mean? This means that the challenges meant to make you stronger can also discourage you if you let them. Okay, so God gives us a promise in our testing career. These promises He puts in front of us. He doesn't put them off of the side. He doesn't put them up here or here or here. If you learn automation, you can expect better outcomes. If you master test design techniques, you can find critical bug faster. So what happens next? Just when you see the opportunity ahead, a challenge appears. And this challenge doesn't show off of the side or behind you. It plants itself directly before you and your goal. And we often panic when we see this obstacle and end up focusing so much on the problem that we lose sight of the opportunity that's still there waiting for us. So why would God ordain that the enemy brings us a problem and put it here? Because God wants to show us that we can learn to look through the problem. We don't even need to make the problem move. We can learn to look through the problem and see the promise and learn to focus on the promise as if the problem weren't there. It changes the game. When you are learning test automation, for example, and hit that confusing syntax error for the 10th time, look through it and see the career advancement waiting on the other side. When you are overwhelmed with the new testing terminology, look through it and see yourself confidently leading QA sessions. Disruptions always follows intention. It always has and it always will. So this principle is not going to stop happening because you don't like it. Software testing is hard. Deal with it. Okay? So you have to have a discipline because disruptions always follows intention. Okay? Then, after you make a decision, it comes number 5, which is recognition. Number 5 is recognition. So take time to notice, to acknowledge your progress as a software tester. And how do I know if this is a principle for high achievement? Because even in Genesis chapter 1, we see this pattern. God created light, and then what happened? And then God saw that the light was good. And he created the sky, the land, and the seas, the plants, and after each one, and God saw it was good. So he recognized his work before moving on to the next creation. Just like when you master one testing skill, you should recognize that achievement before moving on to the next skill. See, one of the biggest problems testers have is they don't take inventory of their own wins. And they don't recognize their wins. So learn to recognize the wins that you have so far. For example, I found that critical bug that would have affected my users. I automated that repetitive task that was taking hours manually. I learned that new testing technique that improved our coverage. As testers, we are quick to recognize our challenges. Test automation framework is so complicated. The odd bug was impossible to reproduce. The deadline was completely unreasonable. So when it comes to our achievements, we often dismiss them. It was only a simple bug I found. Anyone could find written that test script. So we acknowledge our struggles, but minimize our victories. This has to stop right now. Don't downplay your wins. Recognize every achievement, no matter how small it seems. When you successfully execute your first automated test, recognize it. When you identify your first security vulnerability, recognize it. When you improve test coverage by just 5%, recognize it. These wins build on each other. They are the stepping stones of your testing journey. And then lastly is celebration. The last step is celebrate. Yeah, celebrate your wins. And doing this will make you want to keep achieving more. So why celebrating such is a big deal? Because it actually changes how your brain works. When you celebrate, your brain releases dopamine, the happy chemical that makes you feel good. And when you link success with feeling good, your brain starts craving more of that feeling. It's like training yourself to love succeeding. Celebration isn't just a bonus, it's what keeps you motivated and moving forward. Okay, so let me tell you a story. I would take some small testing gigs for startup companies that couldn't afford full-time testers, and I would spend a weekend testing their app, finding big bugs, write them, and then they will pay me a little extra cash. Every time I finish one of those projects, I will celebrate. How? By going to a local cafe and treating myself with this cafe. Later, when I landed my first real job, I celebrated with a proper dinner with my family. To this day, I still celebrate big wins. And I don't stop celebrating because it keeps me motivated. Now, celebration doesn't have to be a huge. They just need to match the size of your win. The size of the celebration doesn't matter. It's about taking the time to recognize your progress. So don't skip this step. When you celebrate regularly, you create a cycle of positivity that makes everything easier and more effective. All right, so those are the 6 steps in transformation. I want you to write all these steps and start working on them starting today. And we are covered how to transform, but we haven't talked about what to transform. So we discussed how to grow, but not what to grow. So in the next lecture, we'll dive exactly into that. What to grow. I'll break it down and show you how to focus your energy on the right areas so you can make the most of your testing journey. I'll see you there.